Vasishta continued. After thus considering the illusory nature of the world appearance, and after mutually worshipping each other, Suragut and Paraga continued to engage themselves in their respective duties. Be firmly established in this wisdom, and discard the impure notion of ego sense from your heart. When the pure heart contemplates the infinite space, dimension of consciousness, which is the source of all bliss, and which is within easy reach of all, it rests in the Supreme Self. The mind that is thus devoted to the infinite consciousness, which is introverted and which is filled with self-knowledge, is not affected by sorrow. The pure heart contemplates the infinite space of consciousness, which is the source of all bliss and which is within easy reach of all. I don't know about you, but I sometimes find this talk of bliss a little bit hard to take. It seems to be suggesting that if we can look deeply enough, then we're going to stumble upon this wonderful bliss. And maybe that works for you, and that's great. But it's not something I can easily go along with, and perhaps you're the same. Especially if you look deeply within yourself, what you might actually find is a lot of pain. After all, this is what keeps most people going on the way they're going. They're trying to cover up the pain which they feel very deeply, deep down inside them. So if you are practicing meditation, and if you're caught up with some kind of spiritual inquiry, the chances are you're actually in touch with a hell of a lot of pain. And this talk of bliss, which is supposed to be there, can actually activate your pain body, I think. But we shouldn't dismiss this talk of bliss, because it says here, when the pure heart contemplates the infinite space of consciousness, which is the source of all bliss. When your awareness is focused on itself, and this can be described as when the pure heart contemplates the infinite space of consciousness. And that's when your awareness is on itself. There might be that throbbing pain, that throbbing emotional, psychological pain going on still, but you're on the other side of it. And from this point of view, you can then witness a transformation. And I don't know about you, but I am not that bothered about bliss. What I find much more enticing is love. Perhaps this is what is meant by bliss. I think I would prefer the word love, because at this point you can then become aware of the love that actually is in the universe, or which is at the nature of things. And I think it's this love which many people from other traditions are in touch with. For example, the Sufis talk about the beloved, and the Christians talk about the love of Jesus. This is what we can get in touch with. This is the bliss that we can get in touch with when we can start understanding or experiencing everything as love. That can transform the pain. The pain can be then understood as love. And this only happens from that perspective, from that understanding, when awareness is aware of itself and the pure heart contemplates the infinite space of consciousness. Then you can look at that pain and you can understand it as love or as bliss. It's the source of all bliss. It's not saying that bliss is there, but it's what can give rise to the understanding of bliss, or the appreciation of love, or the experiencing of love. So that was really just a little side thing about bliss. Even if you engage yourself in the activities relating to your daily life, and even if likes and dislikes arise in you, your inner being will never become impure. So dislikes and likes can still arise, but we don't engage with them because we're established in our essential being, which isn't tainted by likes and dislikes. Even as light alone can remove darkness, the knowledge that this world is the creation of ignorance is the only remedy for its ills. Once this knowledge has arisen, the ignorant perception of the world as something real ceases once and for all. Thereafter, even if you engage yourself in activity, you are unattached to it and therefore not tainted by it, even as the eyes of fish are not affected by seawater. You will never again experience delusion. Normally seawater stings the eyes, but the sage is like the fish and is no longer stung by the world. Only on those days on which the light of self-knowledge shines brightly in one's heart does one live truly. And this is an interesting statement here. We heard previously how when Suryagu said the dawn of self-knowledge becomes permanent in the sage, he does not lose it, neither is it interrupted even for a moment. But here it's suggesting that there are days when the light of self-knowledge does not shine so brightly. Because it's an ongoing practice, this is the spiritual practice. All one's actions are full of bliss on those days. Let's say all one's actions are full of love on those days. They alone are friends, scriptures and days that generate in one's heart true dispassion and also self-knowledge. So when you're not quite on the ball, you can resort to scriptures like Yoga Vasishta. O Ram, rescue your jiva from this dreadful mire of world appearance. Once you have realized the truth concerning it, you will never again return to this mire. O Ram, the company of holy sages will provide you with the knowledge of the means to attain self-knowledge. Hence, one should not live in such places where such company is not available. In the company of sages, the mind of the seeker becomes quiescent at once. This is great if you've got that option. We take our tone, we take our cues, our mental, emotional cues from our company. It's very hard not to. But if that company is concerned with self-knowledge and is established in it, well, that's a great cue to have if you've got that opportunity.